Yo, what's up Granbluers? Hope everybody's having a good day and enjoying themselves. I wanted to put together the equivalent of a TLDR on how to progress because I feel like everywhere I personally looked, it's being explained a bit too convoluted or not to the point, so this is my attempt at a quick guide explaining the endgame progression in Granblue Fantasy Relink. We'll be starting with the things you can do that are non-RNG reliant and slowly work our way to the time sink of the endgame and explain it in a decent amount of time. I'll be recapping each section at the end of the video in case you feel lost. This isn't meant to be watched all in one go if you feel confused. Please watch it in chunks and take what you can. This is just meant to serve as a one-stop shop for questions you might have. If something is unclear, comment below and I'll try to help you out. Likewise, you may know some of the beginning stuff and only be confused about the weapons or sigils. If that's the case, please click on the appropriate timestamp for you. If you enjoyed guide videos and found this helpful, I'd appreciate a subscribe. With that being said, let's get into the video. Starting off, after you've beaten the main story, aside from just completing quests and new difficulty tiers as they unlock, you might feel like you're unsure of what you're really doing or what's a decent way to progress. Well, the first thing I'd recommend is find a character you'd like to stick with or have a good time playing. You're by no means locked to this character at all, but it'll be faster if you focus on one character for the time being. For me, this character was Percival, so I'll be using him as an example. I'm by no means fully done with his build, but I'm wrapping up most of it aside from the RNG sigil grind. As you play your main character, they'll level up, and as you go through quests, you'll unlock more of their mastery nodes. Just buy each and every mastery node you see for your character of choice. The goal for everyone is to get their offense, defense, and weapon trees maxed out, as these are stats and effects that will apply to your character throughout the game. So it's an easy power increase you don't need to think about. Read up on your character specific stuff so you know what they do, but all you have to do is upgrade everything that's gray. Typically you'll max out the offense and defense trees first, and the weapons can be done as you get later into the game. For starters, you're going to want to find whatever weapon is the crit weapon for your character, craft and upgrade this to use as your main weapon. For Percival, that is the Joyeuse. You can see which weapon is the crit weapon if the main trait on it is critical hit rate. The reason you'll want to use this is because the crit damage is essentially non-conditional aside from getting your crit rate to 100% or close to it. This is pretty easy to do, so don't worry about it thinking this is going to be a time sink. The weak point damage weapon is decent, but there are times where I found I can't get to the back of the boss or it's pinned against a wall, so in most situations I found the crit weapon to be easier to work with. So you've picked your weapon, now what? Well, now aside from just upgrading the weapon, you can use this currency called Mirage Munitions on it. This caps out at plus 99 and is just an extra stat boost for that weapon. Use these as you get them because they're not stuck to the weapon, so if you switch your weapon later on, you'll be able to take these stats off of your current weapon to the endgame weapon, which are the Terminus Weapons as of writing this script. You get Mirage Munitions from just doing quests I found, so play the game and occasionally go to the smithy to see if you have more to slot into your weapon and you're good. The last thing you can do that isn't RNG reliant for weapons is to craft and upgrade every single weapon for your main character to level 150. This is why I said make sure it's a character you like, because while this isn't necessarily the craziest time sink, it is still a time sink, so at least know it's going to a good cause. Now, you won't be using each weapon, but when it's taken to the level cap, you can purchase a mastery node in your skill tree tied to the weapon. This can be stuff like more health, critical hit rate, or critical hit damage. They work as passive stats that are always active no matter what weapon you use, so it's a no-brainer. There is also the over mastery page. This is a bit more min-maxy, but it's important to just keep in mind. Depending on what your character's gimmick is, which in Percival's case it's charge attacks, I haven't gotten a good roll on this for charge attacks just yet, but instead I got an increase to chain burst damage, skybound arts, and skills, which was decent enough for now. You can sink your mastery points into this to get extra stat buffs for your character, ranging from health to attack buffs, crit rate, skill buffs. Basically anything a character could need. It's by no means needed, but if you want a little extra oomph and you don't want to level up another character yet, you can keep trying your hand at this for the min-maxers out there. The only other thing I can think of at the time of recording that isn't RNG reliant is unlocking your character's specific sigil. In Percival's case, this was the Lord's Procession sigil, which increased my move speed and the damage cap of my charge attacks, making it a no-brainer and a good sigil to slot in. This is very character dependent, so if you're not sure if you need this, then I'd look up guides for your specific character, or to see what people are saying on the Reddit page to make an informed decision before wasting your materials. This brings us to arguably the most time-consuming part of the game, and that is the sigil grind. Sigils serve as puzzle pieces you will need to be replacing until you make the perfect build. Sigils come with a main trait such as a damage increase or more health. If the sigil has a plus symbol next to it, that means it comes equipped with an additional trait that will be RNG. If you get a 5+ sigil that can complete 2 traits you're using, then it frees you up to add other stuff to your build. For example, I got a damage cap 5+ sigil that also had potion hoarder on it, which meant I didn't need to add the potion hoarder to my build. The goal is to get the main trait you need, and from there you're farming for the main trait and sub-trait that will allow you to slot more things into your build. Now, if you've played Monster Hunter, this is the equivalent of decorations. They function just like they do in Monster Hunter World, where the decoration drops are RNG, so you can't really plan out where you'll get what. You can hunt for some sigils because they'll be given as quest complete rewards, but if you do the same quest again, you're not given that sigil, so you can't farm for stuff you need this way. Sigils will make up the majority of your gear page and define what your build is all about. The current meta is to stack as much damage as possible with only like 2 to 3 slots left to flexibility. This isn't the end all be all though, as I've been able to clear all the content with my current build, which is nowhere near optimized or at the cap. I'll leave it on screen for those curious. Ideally though, you want to stack damage sigils such as stamina, crit damage, or tyranny. I probably wouldn't use Tyranny till you're familiar with later fights, as it lowers your overall HP pool. This game has a system called Damage Cap, which does what it says. There is a damage ceiling you cannot pass even if you stack more damage. When you get to the point that your damage is stuck, you should start incorporating Damage Cap sigils into your builds to raise this ceiling. There is no easy way to test this currently, and I hope Cygames will add something visual to notify you when you're at the damage cap. Some people have said the numbers have a golden outline when you're at the cap, but this is so hard to tell in a fight or even in training, so just look at the numbers. Currently, all you can do is go to the Grand Cipher, hit the dummy with one of your harder hitting moves a few times to memorize the damage numbers. In Percival's case, he's a charge attack character, so I just used his charge attack a few times, and if I saw the same number each time, I'd exit training, add a damage cap sigil, and see if the number went up. If it did, then I know I was at the damage cap and can push further. I test this a few times until I see that my numbers are a bit more random or have some variance. If I'm not hitting the same number with my charge attack each time, there's not really a need to increase my damage cap yet. This will be different for each character, but the point is you want to build damage, test if your damage looks stuck at certain values, add damage cap sigils until there's a bit of variation, and then you can go back to building damage. That's the best way to describe it. Build damage till it feels like you're stuck, add a damage cap sigil to see if your number gets higher, rinse and repeat until you don't need to add more damage cap sigils or more damage. A lot of endgame builds I'm seeing are hovering around the 18,000 to 19,000 power range. Whether or not this will go higher in the current version of the game, I can't say, but if you're somewhere around there, your character build is probably decent for now if you need a different metric to gauge it by. Aside from just straight damage, you could definitely incorporate defensive sigils into your build. Until you are confident in a fight or become either a dodge or parry god, please run defensive sigils, as you're useful to the team alive over just being floor POV. I say this as a fellow floor POVer. Ideally, if I were you, I'd run either 2 Aegis sigils, this will increase your max HP. You can also run 1 Aegis and 1 Potion Hoarder sigil, so this way you'll have more potions, 2 revives, and some blue potions for the team. This way you can be a bit more of a team player with AoE heals for those also struggling. There is also improved guard, which will increase the effectiveness of your guard, and improved dodge, which will make it easier to dodge foes' attacks, and give you more dodges to chain together in a row. My best advice for character builds is to look up what other players of your character have done to hit their respective damage caps, incorporate that along with the comfort of defensive sigils until you're ready to be a glass cannon damage machine. You can beat the content without being fully optimized, so don't worry about that, but there are some DPS checks you need to be able to beat, such as in the Bahamut Versa fight and the Proto-Bahamut fight at the end, so you can't forsake damage completely. There are some sigils that you'll see in builds such as Supplementary Damage and War Elemental, but these are RNG and can only be found in curio boxes, so unless you get really lucky, you won't be seeing these for a while. So don't worry about them. Good sigils you can use for damage are crit damage increases, stamina, and exploiter. You could use Tyranny and Life on the Line, but Tyranny lowers your max HP, and Life on the Line prevents teammates from being able to heal you, so keep that in mind. Another small tip, please use your block button. The block is OP in this game, and I see everybody trying to dodge like it's Nier Automata. Don't be fancy, be alive. If you're wondering what's the best way to get sigils, well, until you're at Maniac or Proud difficulty, I would just use whatever you pick up in quests and save the knickknack vouchers you've probably gotten until you have the Transmute Sigils page at Sierra's Knickknack Shack, specifically the level 3 Transmutation and the Trans Marvel unlocked. The reason why is because level 3 Transmutation can drop good Wrightstones along with level 4 plus sigils and even some level 5 sigils if I'm remembering right. If they don't drop level 5 sigils, the Trans Marvel definitely does, along with 5 plus sigils. You build up the Trans Marvel meter by spending knickknack vouchers, and you get the most meter for the level 3 version, so you should always use this one. If you need a decent farm to get more vouchers and love some gacha, then you can farm the Extreme Quest Assault formation to trade in the high grade scrap and machine units you get for knickknack vouchers, and then sigils after that. The Maniac level quest Slime Peed can drop 11 vouchers if you defeat 100 slimes, and if you get a prismatic slime you can earn an additional 500. This is rare though, so Assault Formation might be the better choice. Slime Peed serves as a great rupee farm if you're short though, so you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone there. Whatever sigils you think are useless will be mostly everything aside from level 4 plus and up. If you already have a good build of level 5 sigils and such, you can scrap the rest for more vouchers and keep doing that. Do not scrap your character specific sigils, war elemental, or supplementary damage sigils, as these are rare and it could be a while before you see another one. Wrightstones can also be scrapped if you have a good one on your weapon already. An ideal Wrightstone will have its level 10 trait, a level 7, and a level 5 one, but again, this is going to take a while to get a good one, so you may not want to scrap these yet. As an example, the current Wrightstone I have equipped is a critical hit rate level 10, drain level 7, and charge attack level 3. I'm mostly using it for the crit rate and charge attack boost, but the drain is there. It's not perfect, but it's decent enough for now. Ideally, you would probably want crit rate level 10, whatever trait will increase your main source of damage at level 7, and another beneficial trait at level 5. So to recap, farm for sigils ideally 5 plus with 2 traits you need in your build, a Wrightstone that has a level 10, 7, and 5 trait if you want to min-max. Just getting a level 10 and 7 trait you need should be good enough, so don't stress the last trait if you don't care to be min-maxed to the brim. The last thing we need to talk about in the current version of the game is Terminus Weapons. These are the endgame chase weapons that you'll be farming on your main for. Before we begin, if you haven't unlocked every character yet, please keep it that way for your sanity. Terminus Weapons can be farmed from Proto Bahamut, the final quest you will unlock currently in the game. It's RNG whether you get a Terminus weapon at the end or not, and if it's a weapon for the character you want or not. If you don't have some of the crew unlocked, this keeps the RNG pool smaller, so it's easier to farm for the specific Terminus weapons you want. Why do you want the Terminus weapon over other weapons? Well, the Terminus weapon you want comes equipped with a special trait called Catastrophe. Catastrophe gives you a 50% attack buff and a 100% increase to your damage cap as long as your HP is under 45,000. This is where sigils like Tyranny can come in handy, because while they lower your max HP, you can use this to help reach the threshold but still gain a damage boost from another sigil if you're using something like Aegis. The Terminus weapon is one of 2 that can be awakened, which for the character is the first forgeable weapon and their Terminus weapon. The regular weapon gives you attack as its main trait, which is less desirable in the endgame, and while awakening it will make it stronger, compared to just using the crit weapon, it doesn't help as much in my opinion. You would also need to farm for the materials to awaken it each level, which isn't really worth it unless you want to see the weapon glow at the end. By the way, awakening weapons have a glow applied to them once you finally max them out. Once you've gotten your Terminus weapon and awaken it, that's everything you can do to gear up aside from getting sigils 5 plus with 2 traits you want, and farming curio boxes for war elemental, which will always make your element whatever the boss is weak to, giving you a free 20% damage bonus, along with supplementary damage, which is an additional hit whenever you strike the foe. To recap everything we learned in this video, pick a character you want to main, unlock their entire offensive, defensive masteries, forge and upgrade all weapons to 150, unlock those mastery nodes, use the crit weapon. You will want a Wrightstone with level 10, level 7, and level 5 traits for the min-maxers. Level 10 should be crit rate, and level 7 should be the damage type you're using, or another trait that's helpful to you. Level 5 can be ignored, or something else useful if you don't want to grind forever. The goal with sigils is to unlock 5 plus sigils that can do 2 jobs. Your priority is increasing your damage, then damage cap until you've hit the true cap, and then can slot in whatever you want. So what are you waiting for? Get back to Granblue Fantasy, gamer. If you found this guide educational and helpful, I'd appreciate a subscribe. Please check the comments below in case anybody has corrected me or I said something wrong. I'll leave a pinned comment with the corrections to help out those in need. Not trying to mislead anybody, but I figured I'd put this out here as this is the way I understood things. Thank you for watching.